The Spotlight, shining a light on podcasts and videos that have caught our attention.
Hi and welcome to The Spotlight. I'm Jen Spiker and today I'm highlighting a video you'll find on the Vision app. But the conversation was originally from Vision's national breakfast show, Rise and Shine. Each weekday morning, Fel and DJ fire up the studio with a whole lot of fun, some really interesting guests, useful, real-life biblical insight, plus positive music to get your day going in the right direction. A recent guest on the program was screenwriter, producer and director Andrew Erwin. Andrew joined Fel and DJ to share how he came to be the producer of the new film Ordinary Angels.
The Spotlight with Jen Spiker.
On the line this morning, Andrew Erwin, director, producer, filmmaker, and all-round good guy. One of the men behind the new film Ordinary Angels. Pleasure to have you on the show, buddy.
Well, I like that intro. I'm glad that I made the good guy list. So this is exciting to talk with you guys.
Well, the last time we spoke to your brother, and we had a great time with him. So I'm assuming that all of his good energy and smarts all comes from you.
Well, I didn't want to brag, but
Told him everything he knows.
Yeah, he's my kid brother. So he's a chip off the old block.
Now, before we get into Ordinary Angels, I'm dying to talk about this, and I don't want to derail it. I know we've only got a short amount of time. You and I are both Word of Life alumni from the Bible industry.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that is amazing. Did you go? Did you go to the campus in New York?
No, I went to the Australian campus, but there are definitely some New York Australia crossovers like the Perkins and the Keegans, who I think
I love it. I think it was Kyle Keegan was. I believe he was a year behind me, and we were dorm mates. We were in the dorm together. And he was a wild man. I think he works in film now or something. Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible.
It is.
He's a good guy.
The Christian world is a very small world, my friend. And I just, I had to throw that one out there to begin with because my question is, the Bible College, Word of Life Bible College, for those who don't know, because it doesn't exist in Australia anymore, it's still in New York. We're talking a really conservative, Bible-based, college, but very creative as well. Is that where you and your brother first got your first, a bite of the creative apple there?
Yeah, it was not to go too far down the rabbit trail, but yeah, when we were at Word of Life, they had a camp. They have camping ministries that they still have all over the world, and an amazing experience with the kids that go to camp there. But the one in New York was on this island in the middle of this lake, 90-acre island that they had, like 500 kids a week come to this camp. And they found out my brother and I had film experience and that we, made little film shorts and stuff. And so they said, can you do some film projects for the kids? And we were like, that would be great. So we would do these epic, what we thought were epic, like Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur kind of stories that, we thought were great. And the first time that we did one for the audience, there's nothing more honest than 500 teenagers. And it gets to the end of it. We thought it was great. And then it's silence. Oh, and then you hear one kid in the front row that goes, is that it? Oh, no. And like to this day, we can't sit in a theater playing one of our films because I'm convinced this man's going to come back as a 45-year-old man and be sitting in the audience going, is that it? So,
slow clap.
Well, we didn't hear that when we watched Ordinary Angels, all right?
We loved it.
We didn't hear any of that.
We've improved.
Yeah, definitely honed the task there. Can I ask a question, Andrew? Because the other thing we might have in common is that we're standing in a radio studio, and it's possible that you spent a bit of time in radio studios growing up. Is that true?
I did. My dad was in Christian radio growing up in the States, and so he was a talk show host, and so he had a 3-hour talk show every day. And so I would come home from school and then I would go over to the studio and I would sit back by the engineer behind the glass and I would sit there and do my homework and that kind of thing while my dad was on the air talking. And so I grew up around radio and it feels very, very natural to me to kind of be in that world. In fact, I think that's probably the world I was more comfortable with. The idea of working with cameras and stuff was not in the original cards, but Yeah, that's our background.
The invitation's open if you want to come over and do a talk show with us over here.
We definitely.
Australian
I'll start
Talkback.
working on my. I'll work on my radio voice. I'll work on my radio
No, it sounds good to
great
us.
to us. It sounds great. Hey, let's get into the film. We loved it. Ordinary Angels. Now, this is a different one.
Yeah.
You guys are usually directing, as well as producing and stuff. This is a guy that you've worked with a lot, John Gunn, who you've let, behind in the director's seat this time. What was that process?
Yeah.
Like? Was that like drawing short straws for you guys, or who gets to do it this time?
Yeah, it's kind of like being, when you're a parent and then you're on a plane and it's somebody else's kid that's crying. And you're like, oh, well, that's not my problem. But no, John Gunn is one of the most talented storytellers I've known. He's written the majority of our stuff since we did the movie I Can Only Imagine. So he's one of our main writers. Wrote Jesus Revolution last year with my brother. Very talented guy. But we found him after he did a movie called Case for Christ. That is a fantastic story.
Great.
And after I saw that story, we recruited him. And so this story came around and he wrote the script or helped finish writing the script. And he just said, I think I want to direct this thing. And so we put him behind the chair as the director. And it's truly special, man. It is such a earned, authentic story. It's the highest rated thing we've ever had with the movie critics, but it also is near perfect score with the audience. And so it's a crowd pleaser, but it's one that will catch you really off guard.
And an amazing cast. I mean, I'm a massive Hilary Swank fan. I love Alan Ritchson there, from Jack Reacher there. He's just a walking mountain of a man and does a great job on this one.
Right.
But when I'm looking at the lady that is playing his mother in the story,
Nancy Travis,
and I'm going, I recognize her. Where is she from? I know her. And then about halfway through the film, my wife and I are watching, and I go, so I married an axe murderer. That's her. And I'm
Harriet, sweet Harriet. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, working on a film like that with an absolute. I mean, she is Hollywood through and through. I mean, she's been on a million different projects, amazing films for such a long time, decades and decades, and done so much different things. I would just be spending my entire time asking her for stories, asking her for, just memories and stuff like that. How do you stop yourself doing that when you're on set?
I sometimes don't, I don't stop myself. The ones where I get truly starstruck is when they're an actor that means something to my childhood.
Yeah.
When it's something where, in like Nancy's movies like that, like you talked about, like that one with Mike Myers.
Yes.
That's one that, was out when I was in college. And I just remember just the incredible laughs that I had around that. So Nancy was actually one of my contributions as a producer. They were like talking about, who could play the mother. And we were up against, a hard deadline, for who we were going to be able to get. And when we had to cast somebody. And I was the one that, threw out, I was like, what about Nancy Travis?
Oh,
and everybody
right.
sat with it. And they're like, we love her. That'd be great. And so she comes in and plays just this feisty mom character of Alan Ritchson's dad. Alan Ritchson's the dad of this little girl that needs the liver transplant. And she plays his mother. And she just, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to work with her a lot. She's a really good actress. And then Hilary Swank is a whole nother level of starstruck. I mean, 2-time Oscar winner. She when she signed off, Lionsgate, our parent company, had told us not even to make the offer to her because we had no shot. We had no chance. And we're like, well, why give it this? Try. Let's just try. And so we gave it a go and sent her the script. She fell in love with it. And she was like, I want to do this movie. I'm doing this movie.
Wow.
And we were all pinching ourselves to have, film royalty in the cast.
That's amazing. I mean, and again, this is the thing I love about this movie is it's a real life story, and I love the fact you got the photos and the videos and the news coverage at the end to see what the new the real characters are like. I love it when a film does that. But you're walking a fine line of this is one step in the wrong direction, and you're in cheesy Hallmark movie territory. One step over here, and it turns into another type of faith-based movie that someone like Hilary Swank is not going to want. Like, you're not going to get that acclaim from the crowd. You're walking on a tightrope between these two different worlds. And man, I got to say, I think you landed it. I think you did really, really well.
Yeah, well, I attribute that to John Gunn. I think for us, we're very blue collar, and a little bit of the rebels. It's fun to kind of like, now in culture that's so pessimistic, it's fun to kind of preach stories of hope, because it's become counterculture and you get to be a little bit rebellious. And stories of hope are just so against the grain now that people are craving it, but they don't expect it, and they think it's going to be something or other. And so for us, we have a chip on our shoulder that we like taking on things that typically would be categorized cheesy, and we like proving everybody wrong. Be like, no, we're going to work extra hard to earn it. I think you see that with like comics, like stand-up comedians that want to do clean comedy.
Yeah.
They have to fight so hard to make it that much funnier. So you get like a Jim Gaffigan or a Nick Bargatze type, comedian, and they just really, their jokes soar because they have to work harder to make it funny.
Yeah.
And I think for us, we take on stories that could be sentimental or cheesy or Hallmark, and we prove people wrong. And every single time we work extra hard to make sure that we earn the heart, we earn the hope. And it's not a cheap laugh, and it's not a cheap cry. And this one, we've been shocked to see how it's registered with the critics. And a lot of that's, Hilary Swank and Alan Ritchson are amazing in it. But I think the material, it just plays, and you have to see it in the theater with an audience.
Yeah.
Because when you see it with an audience, it's a special communal experience.
Oh, that's true. I was in tears. I had my daughter hugging me the whole way through because she was worried about me. She's like, I'm here for you.
I love it.
But it's interesting because it's such, I think as a mum, and it's a real life story, it just touched my heart so much. But I'm wondering the process of choosing the story. Like I'm imagining now you're out, people are pitching you stories. Have you heard this? This happened in my world. What's the story of taking that real life story and then actually portraying it on screen?
It's amazing, the ones that kind of grab our hearts that we don't expect or don't see coming. And this is one of those, so this came to us from a musician that is not particularly a person of faith, but he just saw the true story and wouldn't let it go. And so it's a musician named Dave Matthews from the Dave Matthews Band. He saw this story and he pitched it to a producer that was somebody that he was talking to, that is a producer named John Berg that produced the movie Elf, the holiday Christmas classic. And John Berg went and championed it all around the industry and ended up at Lionsgate, our parent company. They said, this has strong faith in it, and brought it to us. So when we got it, I guess it came from Dave Matthews to Buddy the Elf to Hollywood to us. And we sat there and we just said, tell us about the story. And we heard it and we said, not only do we know this story, but our chairman of our board at Kingdom Story Company is an elder at the church that this is about.
Oh, wow.
And we know it inside and out.
Wow.
And it just was meant to be. And we're like, let's do it. We're going to do this story. And so we stepped into it. And next thing you know, we've got amazing cast, and we're out making a movie in frigid Winnipeg, Canada.
On the Spotlight, we've been listening to a recent conversation that Fel and DJ had with film producer Andrew Erwin on Rise and Shine. If you're quick, you might still catch Ordinary Angels in cinemas. The film will also be released on DVD and streaming platforms in the coming months. If you ever miss Rise and Shine, there's a daily podcast featuring the highlights from the show, including conversations like this one with Andrew Erwin. Catch up on what you've missed by tapping the podcast tab of the Vision app and search for Rise and Shine. Plus, you can watch a selection of Rise and Shine interviews in the Watch tab of the app. If you have a favourite podcast or video series that should be featured on the Spotlight, click Contact Us at vision.org.au and share the link. My name is Jen Spiker. Join me next time as I highlight another podcast or video on the Spotlight.
For more great podcasts and videos like the one featured today, check out vision.org.au or the free Vision app.